Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to break down a topic that's getting a lot of attention right now. Labor's clear position on rent caps. For the first time in a while, they've taken a firm stance and said they have no plans to introduce rent controls. That's particularly interesting because the idea of rent caps is gaining traction with voters, especially with strong backing from the Green Party. So the big question is, why is Labor choosing this path? They've actually explained their reasoning in detail, outlining why they believe rent caps wouldn't solve the problem and why other solutions might be more effective. In this video, we'll look at why this conversation is happening right now, what's driving it this week in particular, and whether rent caps could still become a reality in the UK at some point in the future. Before we get into it, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Join over 54,000 people who follow for updates on house prices, interest rates, and property investing. And if you want to support the video, just hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow and reach more people. Thanks to everyone who does that. Now, the reason this topic has come up again is partly due to recent discussions in Parliament, but more broadly, it ties into the ongoing cost of living conversation, which continues to dominate headlines. This week's inflation figures showed prices are rising again, something many were already expecting. With tensions in the Middle East, some media outlets are even referring to it as Trumpflation. Inflation is currently sitting at 3.3% and is predicted to reach around 4% by the end of the year. At the same time, rents are climbing. Since the Renters' Rights Act came into force last November, around 30% of tenants have experienced rent increases. On top of that, 11% have had to leave their homes because landlords sold or removed those properties from the rental market. With new rules making rent increases harder to implement from the 1st of May, many landlords are acting now, which is pushing rents up even further. After a brief slowdown in December, rental inflation is picking up pace again, and it looks like rents could rise significantly throughout this year. During the parliamentary discussion, Housing Minister Matthew Pennycook was asked directly about rent caps. This question wasn't random. It followed a major protest in London the previous weekend. The march, organized by the Green Party, called for rent controls, especially in high-cost areas like London. Prominent figures such as Jeremy Corbyn were involved, alongside representatives from various unions, including healthcare and emergency services, all highlighting the growing pressure of housing costs. One point raised during that protest was the lack of sufficient social housing. On that issue, there's some agreement. There simply isn't enough being built. In some parts of London, waiting lists for social housing stretch up to 30 years, which shows how severe the shortage is. Increasing supply, especially through government-backed projects, is something many people see as essential. Where opinions differ is on rent caps. The government argues that evidence from other regions suggests they don't work as intended. Scotland was one example mentioned. During the pandemic, rent controls were introduced there, but over time, rents still increased, by about 25% on average. In England, without such controls, rents rose by around 21%. The conclusion drawn was that rent caps reduced the number of available rental properties by pushing landlords out, which in turn drove prices even higher. Other international examples were also highlighted. Cities like San Francisco have tried rent control measures, but affordability and availability remain major challenges. Sweden and Germany have also experimented with similar policies, with mixed or negative outcomes, particularly in terms of supply shortages. Spain, however, was mentioned as taking a slightly different approach. Instead of relying heavily on rent caps, they focused on increasing housing supply, especially social housing. In cities like Barcelona, where rents have surged, the government is working on policies such as limiting short-term rentals, like Airbnb. The idea is to bring more properties back into the long-term housing market. They've also taken steps during inflationary periods to reduce costs in other areas, such as cutting taxes on public transport, which helps ease overall living expenses. As things stand, Labor's position is clear heading into the May elections. They are not planning to introduce rent caps. It will be interesting to see how this plays out politically, especially since rent control is a popular idea among many voters. While it may attract support, there are real questions about whether it would actually benefit tenants in the long run. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think rent caps are the right solution, or should the focus be elsewhere? Also, if you're a landlord or tenant, make sure you're aware of the Renters' Rights Act requirements. There's an information sheet that landlords must provide to tenants, and tenants should understand their updated rights. Failing to comply could result in a fine of up to £7,000 by the end of May, so it's important to stay informed. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out more content for the latest updates on the property market.